There's a lot to unpack in episode 4. We'll see what we can do in a minute. Hello out there, I'm the oldest nerd, and talking about episode 4 of Star Trek Discovery, where we find two stories going on. One is the crew itself is highly stressed. Dr. Culber, in opening the episode, puts it in his chief medical officer's log that there is a great deal of unrest among the crew of the Discovery because of the fact that they have no grounding anymore. There's no family, there's no home, there's nothing that they can identify with except for each other. This is something that concerns Captain s3e4 as well, and he consults the computer about what he might do, and the computer does some normal stuff of have them get more exercise, have them take on a special project and things like this. And then you see a sweep that looks like Control run over the panels behind s3e4, and then start in a more natural sounding voice, making some better suggestions actually. Why not have a group of officers for dinner? Why not show a Buster Keaton movie? And explains who Buster Keaton is, perhaps as much for the audience as for the 23rd century character. This is something that we have suspected from the beginning, that since they did pull what they call the sphere data out of Control, they have been using that somewhat, but did not really think that Control was all there. Certainly to keep it from the 23rd century universe is why they left to begin with, because they were concerned about things such as that. But we're starting to get the idea that it might not be quite as malevolent as we were first led to believe, in that it is actually trying to help. So there's something to think about here, that the good ideas that came, and one of them is the captain inviting officers for dinner. This is something that goes back to Napoleonic War times. On wooden sailing ships, it was normal, it was customary for the captain to invite officers for dinner, perhaps once a week, and entertain. And generally speaking, it allowed most of the senior officers and maybe a single junior officer to come in on each of these things in order to kind of have some face time with the captain. It was a great honor to do so. Also, the senior officers would often invite the captain to a dinner in their main wardroom, which was something that was done. So this is kind of reminiscent of that sort of thing. So that leads us kind of to believe that maybe that in the same way that Control was protecting Discovery, and at the time that the Federation was trying to destroy it, now it seems to find its job is to protect the crew. And it brings us to this short trek in the first series of short treks, where the ship is way in the future and there is a sentient artificial intelligence. I think this is the beginning of that. Dinner party does not go as well as you might expect, although I liked the line where Tilly says that it was, in her family, a normal Tuesday. And also a nice line by Philippa, who says at least the wine is good. So there was it was a start. It started well. It got kind of into a fight, but it also revealed to us more of what's boiling underneath Detmer. And we find that she has some kind of psychosis that she's been trying to hide. and she's not quite sure what's gotten over her. I suspect that there is something that's gone wrong with her implants that they have not been able to decipher, whether it is a malevolent portion of control that's gotten in there or something else that control may be able to fix. We'll have to find out in upcoming episodes. Another thing, they mentioned Detmer as being the pilot, not the helms person, which in previous Star Trek episodes they've always talked about the helm rather than a pilot. The only difference they did with that was in Voyager, where in Voyager Tom was considered the pilot rather than the helmsman. So kind of an interesting bit of nomenclature here. Now, turning to Adira, where we follow her story, they've decided that she knows a little too much about engineering on the ship. She finds that she knows 7 languages, but not really anything about herself before she became this symbiote and host combination. And so it's decided that probably going to the Trill home planet is the way to see if they could provide her with any help in order to be able to release memories, especially of Admiral Tall, that they need in order to find the Federation. So with that, they go to Trill and find that the burn has also taken its toll on that civilization to the point to where they are greatly reduced in number and have not enough hosts for all the symbiotes that are there. And that said, they still have the same kind of thing where it is quite a competition as to who is fit to be a Trill host. And when they find out that Adira is human, there is some differences among the elders as to whether she should be accepted or not. And after an amount of violence happens, the high priest, if you will, takes them to a sacred place in which she might be able to bond normally with the symbiote. And with all of the things that happen to keep it interesting, I suppose, they do just that. It reminds me a little bit in Farscape where the pilot bonded with the ship the way pilots bond with living ships as they did in Farscape. It could not be forced. It had to be done naturally. And so it sounded to me very much like that episode where it has to be done slowly, it has to be done gradually, and eventually a more command of each other will be achieved. But what we found out was all of the backstory now of Adira, who was in love with a Trill, who had recently become a host. And there was a wonderful line there where he said, "It's still me, there's just more of it." And then an unfortunate attack that caused a mortal wound. She had offered to take the symbiote in order to keep some aspect of her boyfriend with her, but causing her loss of memory as a result. So in this bonding scene in which we have Michael helping her out with that, she's able to find out that she's been 6 or 7 people before, that what her backstory was with her boyfriend, and a certain amount of knowledge of who she is, and that's where we come now with Adira Tal. And a good line there, welcome to the circle, as she's interacting with the other Trill host in kind of a Force ghost kind of thing. So in the end scene, we see her have an ability to play the cello, I believe, with that was her boyfriend's talent. And so now she's playing, and we're not certain if this is a vision or a way for us to be able to see how she interacts with her former selves. We haven't really explored that too much, despite all of the Trill-based episodes in Deep Space Nine of just how they have the memories, how they have the relationships with their prior selves. So this is going to be interesting in how they develop this character. So, not big on action, not big on movement of the bigger plot, but we do have some blanks filled in with the result of Detmer's outburst during the dinner, of the fact that even after a big fight, the crew decides at last that they have to be a family. Even if they fight like a family, they have to make up like a family. And so there is that. It has a very satisfying ending of this episode. So we recommend it. I'd like to know what you think about it. Let me know in the comments. And of course, please do subscribe if you have not done so, and click the bell so you know when the next video is coming. Until then, don't go far.